Welcome to In the Trenches with Dave Lapham, brought to you by First Star Logistics. As always, coming to you from the studio, the brand new studio at First Star Logistics. And we've got a regular, and he is a superstar regular. That is Phil Simms. Phil Simms is a football savant. Love talking football with Phil Simms. Phil Simms knows the entire National Football League, but every once in a while, we'd love to get him to specifically hone in on the Cincinnati Bengals. And we talked to him about the roster, the drafts, the draft picks, draft choices that they made, veteran free agent signings, college free agent signings, the construction of a roster, training camp competitions, all that sort of thing. You're going to like Phil Simms. Did you make a very, very wise decision today, because you joined us in the Trenches with Dave Lapham, brought to you by First Star Logistics. Here in our studios, in our outstandingly beautiful building, new building, we have one of our all-time favorites, one of the all-time greatest, the legendary.
Oh, my gosh.
I'm talking legendary. We're talking MVP of Super Bowl 21. 39-20 victory over Denver. 22 or 25, Phil, like we talked about. 88%. I mean, a 150.9 quarterback rating. All right, I have to ask you, what's it like to play your best game in the biggest game of your life? I mean, guys dream about doing that, Phil, and you did it. What's it like?
Wow, that's a lot. First off, that introduction, Dave, come on. You're building me up so much, no matter what I do, it's going to be a downer. And I just want to say this to you. Look at you. You are so tanned. It's unbelievable.
I was down in Hilton Head, man. It was 90 degrees every day, full sun.
Oh, what's it like to get a tan? I would not know. I'm like, I don't know what you would call it. I literally never go in the sun.
I don't blame you.
I mean, I'm getting treatment now. I got to get more treatment on whatever. My favorite, or I guess the person I'm closest to in life is my dermatologist. I'm not exaggerating, but that's the way it is. But
crazy.
Thank you for the great introduction. You've been on vacation, so you're looking trim too. You know, that tan, when you get a tan, it changes your whole perspective of who you are.
Doesn't it? I mean,
yeah.
Dark clothes supposedly slim you. You're supposed to wear dark. So hey, a little bit darker complexion might be slimming. I may have to try that year round. I don't know, get a lamp or something. I don't know.
No, you don't want to do that. Oh, I did an interview with Daniel Jones today.
Yeah.
And he just got done with his workout, the running, the lifting, and all that stuff. And I said, "So did you take your shirt off during the running and all that?" He goes, "No." He goes, "Did you do that?" I go, "Absolutely. I took it all off as much as I could. Give it to me." And that's why my favorite person now is my dermatologist, because of that stupid ass decision back then. But oh well, that's the way it goes. Hey, so good. You had a good vacation.
Yeah.
While you were away, I was working on the Bengals.
There you go.
Yeah. Okay. No, but kind of going through it. I here's what I think.
Yeah.
Wow. About everything. And, when I hear people on TV talking about the Bengals and it's like, oh, I think they're overrating them. I don't know. I don't get it. But then as I study the team and start looking at the roster from top to bottom, I go, wow, they got a chance. This is a roster. They got the talent in the right positions that if they're not competing and a viable Super Bowl contender all through the year, then it'll be a disappointment for the team, the organization, and the fans. So
that's good. That's music to my ears, man. That's good news. I mean, what is it that you like best about the composition of the roster, Phil? Is it just the depth of the roster? Is there a position group that has stood out to you more than others? What's it look like
Well,
for you?
depth, that's one thing. The fact that they hopefully can get all this straightened out with T. Higgins.
Yeah,
When you have basically two number one receivers, then you got guys that can fill in from there. Trenton Irwin, I guess, I like him. He's going to be, hey, look, he's going to do well just by what goes on with the other two.
yeah,
And it's he's in the middle of the field a lot, so he's going to have a lot of success in there. So that the offensive line I like, I think it's solid. You can't complain, and I think the defense has great depth. There's so many under the radar players for the Bengals because it's the Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase we know,
right.
and that's the way it is with all good teams. It's about the quarterback and a couple other guys. But I was just looking at it once again before you and I went on the air. Jermaine Pratt, people don't realize what he is. Logan Wilson, one of the best middle linebackers. Speed, athletic ability in the secondary. They still have a big-time pass rusher in Trey Hendrickson. I love Sam Hubbard. He's gotten better every year. You correct me whenever you don't agree with me, too.
No, I'm with you. You're
He's
right
gotten
on.
better every damn year.
Yeah, I
And
agree.
he's one of those guys that has talent. It's not overwhelming. It doesn't like super flash, but he takes a talent, which is really good, and he knows how to play. And that makes you better than good.
No doubt.
And, we got guys with great talent who can't put it together on the field. They can't apply it. But when I look at guys like Sam Hubbard, I go, we underestimate his talent, but his knowledge of the game and how he plays it is really jumps out to me. Just a few
Man,
things.
Phil, and we've all had teammates like that. They maximize their talent. It's not like
Oh, yes.
they don't just take it for granted, minimize it, whatever. They're like, okay, I've got some, but I'm going to maximize it. I'm going to take it to another level. And like you said, every year you gain experiences and knowledge that allows you to maximize it more. And it's not like I'm content. I'll stay right here. No, man,
No.
don't
You gotta-
plateau. Let the graph continue to rise. Right?
Absolutely. Listen, man, it's a great life being an NFL player.
Yeah.
And, even greater now. I don't know, and I know it with you. We talk about, I won't even get into it, but but the money didn't like go, oh my gosh, we got to it wasn't ever really great.
Right.
It was really good living. I'm not saying that, but it's not like now. And I really do believe the money, how much they make a lot of the players, the stars or whatever, but it makes them stay better, whatever, longer. Just because they know what they got. It's so unbelievably special
Right.
that they're not going to let that thing go. That's for sure. So that's just part of it.
So when and Joe Burrow's had some, problems obviously with injuries, the injury
Right.
bug, but when Joe Burrow is 100% healthy and at his best, operating at his best, what are some of the things that you like most about his game, Phil?
Well, I like his personality. Players look up to him. He is the leader of the team. He wants to be the leader of the team, and he's damn good at it.
Yeah.
And it's not like he's running around screaming at everybody. It's just who he is, man. He's just got it. I hate to say that. I'm sorry. Well, I'm trying to think of the coach at Ohio State that said he's a Division II player. Oh, I think you're a little wrong, Coach. He was a lot better than that. But it's I'm terrible. But first off, just to say that to anybody, I don't care if they really are. I understand the way it was said. It was very, what's the word for it? Deprecating. Yeah. It's like I said to Daniel Jones. Hey, when Brian Daboll yells at you, do you ever think about yelling back? He goes, "Did you yell back?" I said, "Absolutely." He goes, and not that it always. Whatever.
Tell you, I'll guarantee you Bill Parcells respected the hell out of you for that, though. No doubt.
Well, I won't get into those stories. He wanted it back.
Yeah.
He wanted it. And okay, and it's not like I did it all the time. I did it a few times.
Right.
But I did it with some really solid, good 4-letter curse words, and I drove the point home.
And you had good reason to, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
He was just taking me to the end. I couldn't take it anymore. But
Right.
the Bengals, I have great expectations. This is my first thing about the draft. We're going to talk about that a little. Lou Anarumo, he's sitting in there going, yes, way to go. Just, oh, good, another one. I mean, I think that they really helped their defense out with the draft. And And, when I look at the Bengals, the one thing that I think, then it'll be really interesting to see how they play. I kind of feel like I know their schemes and what they're doing, and it's well thought out and well taught. But now maybe it can go to the next level, and that's to be even more aggressive, more creative, because you got enough talented players that can cover for that if you do that. So I don't know how you feel. What do you think about that?
I agree with that. And I think talented players, and I think as a former offensive lineman, speaking to that group, you have to have a good group up front to be able to expand the horizons there. And Phil, you were Pro Bowl, Super Bowl winner, and MVP of the damn Super Bowl. 4 of the 5 Bengals offensive linemen have been to the Pro Bowl and won a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So you guys know what it takes to compete and win at the highest level. And I think having that number of guys up front is going to be a huge, not just for the offensive line. I think it's going to, work its way through permeate through the entire team, through the entire organization. I think the offensive line as a group, guys are going to say, man, they've been where I want to go and done what I want to do.
Right.
And now it's the burden of responsibility is on them to play to that level. And
Right.
that'll permeate too. That's just my feeling on that.
No, that's the feeling. I like that you answered or said that, and listen, the basis of all teams, to me, success and failure, most of it goes through the damn offensive line.
Yeah.
Somebody on TV just say something about them for 10 seconds. But this quarterback, they were 7-10 last year. Yeah, he played behind the worst offensive line in the National Football League or whatever.
Right.
But his completion rate, shut the hell up. Oh my God. But it is true. And you and I have said this. The year that recently when the Bengals went to the Super Bowl, that was a bad offensive line.
It was.
Oh my God. So they overcame it with so many other things.
Right.
The quarterback, the receivers, the coaching.
Yep.
So there's nothing like you don't have to have nothing but great players up front, but guys with experience and that right formula of guys. Do we have the leader of the group? I hope it's the center, because when it's the center, I don't know. It's just the best when the center's the leader of that group. Helps the quarterback out.
Yep.
And when I look at that, not only do I see it, but I see some players behind them, the starting unit, that have a chance to play too.
Yep.
So they've kind of protected themselves in a lot of areas this year with the draft, but with free agent signings, whatever it is, to give depth and not just be crushed if 1 or 2 guys on a team get hurt.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the offensive line is one of the positions where attrition is a potential reality. Quarterback rating, and I don't know. In my mind, Phil, the numbers can like boggle your mind. When you look at quarterback play, I mean, you played the position at the highest level and achieved at the highest level. What is most important in your mind for a quarterback? What's the biggest contribution besides the leadership thing from his actual play physically? What's the biggest thing that he can do for his football team?
Well, Parcells said, Simps, it's really simple. Just get us in the end zone, would you? Okay, that's all. The players will love you. Get us in the end zone. They don't, whatever. But, it's really simple. Oh, thanks, Bill. That's really easy. They'll lay down for us on defense. Don't worry. But, damn, forgot what I was going to talk about. But, I'm a really big believer the quarterback has to have an aura about, not aura, maybe, aura, just quiet leadership, loud leadership. Whatever it is, but the team respects it. Some of the guys might hate you for it, but who cares? That's not your job to be friendly to everybody. Your job is to lead them.
Right.
And I think it's the second most powerful person in the organization, the head coach. Then your quarterback's kind of got to be that guy. And there's many ways to do it. You can be Peyton Manning, where you are truly the sheriff in charge of everything.
Yeah.
You're Tom Brady, who had a great personality in practice and would yell at guys and get in arguments right in the middle of practice. Like, I'd go, damn, are they going to come to blows? But you know what I mean? So you have a chance to really help the team just with certain things that you do. And if the quarterback's not the hardest worker on the team, then you know what I say, you're in trouble. It's got to be that guy. Fake it, whatever it takes, do whatever you got to do, make players think that. And that way, when you say words, they have meaning and they carry to the players.
It's interesting you say that, and obviously turnovers, quarterbacks get blamed for things they shouldn't get blamed for from a turnover perspective. But when turnovers do occur, in my mind, the quarterbacks that I've been around that have been very successful will say, "All right, that's over. It's
That's
over.
right.
We're
Good.
and quarterbacks that struggle will be like,
Yeah.
oh man, I hope I don't do that again. Oh man, what was I thinking? I mean, is that a big thing, Phil? Is that a big thing you have to fight mentally?
Absolutely. And it's talked about on TV just constantly. And, I make fun of it. Oh, so and so threw for 400 yards and 3 touchdowns, but he did throw an interception. Oh my, you're right. Go say 5 Hail Marys and a couple of Our Fathers, and you'll be okay. I mean, it's true though. It's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
And turnovers that happen that mean nothing to the game, whatever about it. Like I tell quarterbacks, I'm just going to tell you this. I tell quarterbacks when the game is over and you take the field, I don't care if it's 8 minutes to go and you're 3 touchdowns down or more, don't take one single chance. Play the game out. You're going to lose. You can't come back. Check that damn thing down for a 3-yard loss if you have to, because perception is reality. And if you go out there and you be aggressive, throw another interception or maybe 2, then all you're doing is making everything worse for you, the climate of the media, the fans, and even the coaches. They get it. Well, he threw 3 interceptions. We can't win that way. Well, the last 2 meant nothing, coach. You were getting killed, but they'll bring it up too. So, I don't know. It's, as I always say, it's not a game of perfection. And, to be great, which I've told all these stories before, here's a cliff. You got to get your ass right up to it to where you almost fall over, because that's where your great ability is, when you're free and you try to show off all the qualities you have as an athlete, as whatever it is. That's where you're at your best. Now, can you get to that level and then not go overboard? Because, Dave, I'm sure you had games you're kicking the living crap out of the guy across from you, and you get a little cocky and go, oh, hell, I'm going to hit his ass harder. And then you miss him because, it happens to all positions. So the quarterback's got to do that. But we got to understand, too, I want them to push the limits a little more to, guys, whatever, the game is in flux or whatever, and they're still playing Charlie check down. Listen, I always know when I watch guys play games, I know who's playing and watching his stats as the game is going on, and the guys are out there playing and trying to win and doing the right things to win instead of worrying about their damn stats. But I don't know if you ever notice it, but I do. Yeah. I know the quarterbacks that do it. I'm not going to bring them out because I got enough problems.
I hear you.
So go ahead. I'm sorry to get on those rants.
No, I love it. I love it. I always learn a lot when have conversation with Phil.
But Joe Burrow is not going out there thinking, oh, I can't turn it over. Yeah, he's playing. Yeah. He's playing. He's the guard that's missed 5 in a row, but he's going to keep shooting at some gun because that's what it's about or whatever. And, I love what, oh my God, I forgot his name for a second. Let me look again. I always do this with Jake Browning.
Oh, yeah.
What he said about Joe Burrow. When Jake came in and played well, I just try to copy him, be calm, don't get to, this, just how, and I just went, wow, that was a great thing he said, but I know what he meant. And I wish I'd have done that more, but I didn't. And, but Joe Burrow's demeanor and the way he plays sports is awesome. And it was really cool that Jake Browning said, I copied him, and he played well. He got a new contract too, Jake Browning, right?
Yes, he did.
Yeah, good for him.
He did.
I was happy for him.
Well deserved.
Yeah, well deserved.
So in the National Football League, everybody says, it's quarterback and head coach. In your mind, or from what you've gathered around the league, what is the perception of Zac Taylor as a head coach, Lou Anarumo as a defensive coordinator, and now Dan Pitcher takes on, his role as offensive coordinator? What do you hear about the Cincinnati Bengals as a coaching staff when you've done over the years, your preparation in
I would,
games?
yeah, it's a good question. I would say this. The first one would be, I think there's great admiration around the whole league with Lou Anarumo. And I hear it from teams. I've heard it from a few executives, and people that just kind of do this to me and say it. I go, oh yeah, yeah. I love the Bengals. I love their adjustments. I like how they're so well coached. They're. I think it's a deep thinking strategy on the defensive side for the secondary and the linebackers, whatever. I love it, and that's what we'll talk about this a little more. But now can they take the next step and have all that going for them and be more aggressive? So, but I think it comes. It's usually Joe Burrow, Lou Anarumo, and then Zac Taylor. But I think that quietly, Zac Taylor has really gained a lot of respect these last 2 years.
Yep.
And I heard his name on TV the other day. My teeth almost fell out. Oh my God! You're going to talk about Zac Taylor instead of can we get away from Joe Burrow every once in a while? But they were saying really nice things about him, how he's been undervalued, and look what he's done for the franchise. And too, he carries himself different. To me, I just see a guy that's extremely confident about what he's doing, what he knows, and how he implements it all to the players. That's what I see when I watch him on the sidelines now.
I agree. I think he's grown tremendously in that regard, and he is Bill Parcells' philosophy is here. Zac Taylor's is polar opposite. I
Good.
mean, it's like his relationship with his players. I mean, they all, love him and respect him and trust him to the point where it's not a fear factor thing, but it's just like, I can't let this guy down. He's like one of my family. I gotta go to
Right.
battle for this guy. There's different ways to motivate, and you find different ways to get it done. And there's no right or wrong. It's it's your way to do it, and you either succeed with it or you don't. They have totally different styles, but it worked
Hey,
for Bill Parcells and it's starting to work for Zach.
Dave, you got to be who you are.
Bingo.
We're too late in life. We can't recreate anything.
Bingo.
And yeah, that's who he is. And it's just his, and I'm sure the way he treats players, he knows how in his way to be tough on them, but he never alienates them or creates a controversy or whatever. And I think that's, you and I have said all these things many times. As a head coach, you got to understand everybody you're talking to, because you can give a great message to one guy and turn and give it to the next guy, and the next guy's going, hey, that is just a bunch of bull. And not only that, I don't even like you, coach, or whatever.
Right.
I think you got to give a different set of circumstances to every damn player in the team. That's what a head coach should do. Most of them do. They got to relate to players. When you do that, you're going to get the best out of them too.
He has a committee, a player committee of offensive and defensive players, that he meets with as a group pretty regularly.
Right.
But he makes it a point to meet individually with everybody. Not as regularly, you can't.
Right.
But it's like he doesn't want anybody to feel like, man, I mean, what's wrong? I never meet with the head coach. He's got
Right.
these committee guys, and it's player driven. I mean,
Right.
the players are deciding who's going to go meet with Coach Taylor. They make it's voted upon, so it's not like, oh, that's the coach's pet or whatever. But he doesn't limit it to just that. He is a tremendous communicator that way, Phil. He's a guy that reaches out. There's no doubt.
That's awesome. I think you got to do that even more in today's world than maybe you did in the past. And, we had one guy in our locker room. I'm going to put maybe two that Bill Parcells would talk to on the sly. How we doing? What's being said in the locker room? And, I know who he was. I mean, I think we all knew, and that was his job. He was a hell of a player, but his job was to tell coach about the temperature of the locker room.
Yeah.
And who's, whatever. And that way you can cut off some problems before they begin. And I think it's a great idea. Always now, most of these teams do have committees. They go in there, and I think it's probably a good sounding board for the coach to hear it from them and then tell them in his own way what he expects more of the players. And maybe it even changes. I would think too, it changes the coach's mind a little bit. In other words, he hears and goes, Oh man, I've been wow. You guys are taking me as I'm a little too crazy or too tough, or maybe whatever it is. I think it's a great way to run your football team.
Dave Lapham here, and every day I am grateful for my experience to have played professional football. As a player, I realize self-motivation, leadership, and appreciating your teammates are key. At First Star Logistics, you can use those same attributes to create the life you want for you and your family. Build your future by working hard like I did. You'll see results both on and off the field. Call First Star Logistics today and be part of our winning team.
Opportunity knocking.